Everybody, as you're joining in, welcome to the second Quantum Roundtable Multidimensional Musings for Evolutionary Times. We've done one before where we have invited other illuminated quantum healing practitioners together to have a discussion about all things quantum, whether it's about healing, whether it's about awakening, whether it's about the juicy stuff that's happening in their sessions. So welcome to number 2. Yeah, we're going to take a few moments. I want to share about some things that we have going on. We have a new definition of IQH. Some people are wondering what IQH is and what makes it different from maybe other consciousness exploration modalities out there. So, illuminated quantum healing is a method for personal transformation, holistic healing, and superconsciousness development. IQH practitioners guide clients through a multi-stage process to identify root causes of limiting beliefs and illness, reconcile stored trauma, and gain valuable insight to catalyze positive evolution in all areas of one's life. Through this process, clients experience instantaneous, multidimensional healing through their connection to their higher self. And the higher self is that part of your consciousness that flashes that perfect wisdom for you at times when you need it. The inner knowings that you get, those inner promptings that you might have about do this or do that. And also that part of you that is able to discern between what is right and what is not good for you, what is in alignment with your deepest truth, and what is of something else. So these practitioners guide ordinary everyday people into their own mystical nature, into their ability to connect very deeply with that presence that lives within each and every one of us. So you can call it the higher self, you can call it the soul, you can call it the superconscious mind, the oversoul. There's so many names that point to that truth of that principle of something vast and eternal that lives in each and every one of us. So IQH helps people connect with that and to uncover information that is really helpful for their healing and for their life path. We have trainings so we facilitate sessions with this, and we also have trainings, hence we have some practitioners here. And that's done in 2 ways. One is with the do-it-yourself training, which we have recorded a bunch of things. We put them up and you can go through the material on your own. We also have, for a little boost, we have the semi-live training, which includes 3 meetings with Ron and myself and the other members that are joining for the training. You still do the video material on your own, but we meet 3 times just to talk and share about maybe even new things that have been developed since we first made those videos. So this is all by application only. So people have to submit an application and share where they are in their path, their philosophy, what they're calling to do to serve this great awakening that's happening across the planet. And then we select from those people. So you can always trust that when you're connecting with an IQH practitioner, that this is somebody who has been doing the work, who has a deep understanding about the subconscious reasons of seeds that create cycles of suffering in one's life. So here we are. We're going to go through a little introduction. We'll go through one at a time. We'll start with Nina at the top. You can just share a little bit about yourself, where you are, maybe what other services you offer. I'm going to turn something off while you're doing that. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I am Nina Rafaela Morocco from Rafaela Soul Sessions. I'm a quantum healer from Scotland, a little town in southern Scotland called Peebles. And I offer IQH sessions, obviously, BQH sessions, and kind of my own version of the 2. But I'm kind of as we go, as we learn and develop, we grow our own ways of doing the work. And I've been in that process this is my 4th year of being a quantum healer. So I have lots of things I keep adding in and building and growing and with my clients, and yeah, it's good fun. So I offer the individual sessions, but I also offer the mentorships, the quantum evolution mentorships. That's 3 or 5 sessions, and they are amazing. And I do intuitive healings and readings as well, and I use a lot of oracle cards, which is, I find it's a really nice way of getting that communication going with the higher team, and it can really help strengthen that connection and give confirmation to somebody that they really are on the right path and they know what they're doing. So I offer those as well. So yeah.
Thank you, Nina, so much. We're going to go into Ria in a moment. We have another practitioner who's going to join us now. So let's open the circle. We'll see how her connection is as she joins. Hi there. How you doing there, Leanne?
Hi.
Can we hear you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. There's a little
You
bit of a
can't hear
lag,
me?
but it's okay. Yes, I can. With the video, but I can hear you beautifully. So that's good.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and start with Ria. So we're discussing who you are, where you are, and some of the other services that you offer.
So my name is Ria, or Eleftheria, the full name. I am from Greece, and I'm located now in the south of Greece, in Peloponnesos. And I moved, since COVID started, I moved all of my work online. And I am also an illuminated quantum healing practitioner and a shamanic astrologer. So I offer my services online, and I also do some online workshops like group past life regressions once every month. And I'm working along with the new moon and full moon energies. I'm doing ceremonies which I offer personal moon readings and meditations and this kind of stuff. And yeah, that's all I'm doing. And I'm really excited to be here with all of you today. Yeah, tonight. Tonight for me.
Tonight,
Yes,
where you
yeah,
are.
tonight for here.
Yeah. Bless you all.
Yeah.
And Leanne has gone. She's still here. There she is. Hi, Leanne.
Hi,
So tell me
you
where
guys.
you are and what you do. Yeah.
Thank you for interesting issues today. I live in southern Utah. I'm on the Red Rock, and I have taught yoga and breathwork, and I have 4 children. I love this BQH. Up to about 60 seconds.
I was going to give it a moment, but can you hear us?
Of the, yeah. Yes, I can hear you. I think my
Yeah, I'm just going to...
place in my home. Yeah, and put in the background if the connection continues to be unstable. I hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, well, bless you. Okay, we'll see how it goes. I think maybe... Well, we'll see how it goes. Okay, so what I wanted to discuss, as you can see, the practitioners are coming from backgrounds, and also continuing to evolve the work that they do by weaving those things together, by continuing to educate themselves, by having open discourse. We all talk about what we're doing and how we're developing it, because we are the pioneers of consciousness, not IQH practitioners, but this generation of people on the planet. And this is our role. This is the invitation that we have as awakened beings on the planet, is to take all of these beautiful lineages, all of the wisdom that's been passed down to us, and to continue to evolve it and to continue to deepen it, so that we can continuously evolve more impactful, more meaningful healings and connections across the globe. So as you can see, we have people practicing multiple modalities that are very similar in their effects, just different maybe approaches or things. And this is something that we value very, very, very much in the New Earth Ascending philosophy. So New Earth Ascending is the nonprofit that houses these different works that come out. Hi, I'm Michael Garby. Now I'll do my intro. I am IQH was developed by Ron and I as well, but I've also put together a system of similar to what a Reiki 1, Reiki 2, and Reiki 3 would be, but it's expanded beyond that. I call that practice embodied light and guiding light. Guiding light being the teacher course, the level 3. And I'm also an author. I just put out a book called The Illumination Codex, which is available through our website. You can just go to newearthascending.org, and there's loads of information there. And I won't go into all of that, but yeah, super happy to have met these beings and to be sharing our work in the ways that we do. Leanne, your signal's looking great. You're like 4 bars all the way. Yeah. So, okay. So let's go into the first question, which is themes. What's coming up? What happens in your sessions? What have you been noticing? We'll start with Nina.
Let me see. What have I been noticing? I have a lot of people who come to me who are at a crossroads. They're at a point where they have been going down the same path for so long, and it's generally been over the last couple of years they've had a big shift happen in their lives, or just a real deep calling to do something more with their lives than what they've been used to doing. I also have people who have, really, really suffered, deep suffering that they've not been able to shift. I get a lot of clients who have had years and years of conventional therapy and really not got very far with it. So, I mean, some people, it really is like a last resort to do this type of work. The other theme for me personally, I think, is I get a lot of new practitioners. I get a lot of people just coming into the work, and it's just such a unexpected but lovely thing to have people who have an interest in quantum healing, but don't really know if it's the type of the work they should be doing. Also work with a lot of healers as well who feel the call to work on themselves too. More recently, I would say the last few sessions, I would say it's definitely been about that real deep divine feminine womb healing. The last 3 sessions, I say, would be a lot of a lot about the womb and that femininity, that real divine mother, Mary Magdalene feminine energy has been coming through very strongly the past 3 sessions. But yeah, I get a real mix of themes for people. But yeah.
My question, one of them is about why do you feel a practice like this might be more impactful for somebody compared to a traditional counseling, which is also incredible and valuable as well. So what might somebody get out of this that they may not get out of a talk therapy kind of work?
I think people feel like when you're talking to a practitioner like us, you're not going to be categorized or put into a box or labeled or judged in any way, shape, or form. You're not going to be pigeonholed and prescribed and all of that. Because we're not just looking at this from the level of the mind or the body. It's not just physical or mental. We're looking at this from a much, much wider perspective. We're looking at it from the perspective of your soul, of your higher self. And that goes way, way deeper. And it rounds everything off so nicely as well. It connects everything and interconnects everything. And I think that's why the people I've worked with have had huge advances in their healing process.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. It's interesting that when I look back at some of the early psychology um, philosophy in the last 100 years or so, there was talk of the metaphysics. A lot of the origins of those philosophies were coming from the mystical traditions. And then somehow it's become almost
Yeah,
taboo to even recognize that, or to use that principle as a foundation for the work, when that's really what modern psychology was. A lot of it was coming from the hidden teachings. And
yeah.
so let's see what Ria has to say. I see Leanne is in the space also. Ria,
Hello.
share with me what's been going on in your sessions.
First, before I go into that, I would like to share something about what Nina said before, because I also find the same, that the people that are coming to me, they have this, they feel free with me. They don't feel this, that I will put them in the boxes. And this was a big thing, that the big reason that why they come. When I ask them, why did you choose to come to have hypnosis or shamanic astrology? It's something you can go to a psychologist, and they say, they feel like they're going to a therapist or something, and they're this kind of like difference of like, I'm going for therapy,
Mm-hmm.
where when we work in, for example, with hypnosis, we don't, as Nina said beautifully, we don't put people, and we see them from a higher, see their life from a higher perspective, and we don't judge anything, and they feel that and they perceive that, and they can also feel this freedom. So that I really want to say, because it's very important, this. Now
Mm-hmm.
for my sessions, usually people that they come to work with me, they come for finding the life purpose and their soul gifts. And that's also I will be focusing with shamanic astrology. I only focus in these things. And then I also go deeper into them with hypnosis, because it really takes you there, right? So, and also what Dina said, people are feeling that are not having guidance. They're feeling a little bit lost, especially nowadays. They're a little bit disappointed what's going on in the world, and they don't find they can escape from all of these. They feel stuck. Actually, that's the main thing: feeling stuck in all aspects of their life. And and then when they come for hypnosis, they just leave new afterwards, like so clean, so much clarity, so much. You can even see their faces, how they come and how they leave, like completely different people. Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. Another thing that comes lately a lot, because I work with few women, was a lot coming about sexual abuse in childhood. And I was so surprised to see how many women have had these, and usually comes from family members. And also, as Nina, you said before, a lot with womb healing and finding healthy sexuality, because it was a lot. This woman had a lot of problem with finding the healthy sexuality and having actually a partnership, even a healthy partnership, and was all related to that. And then, of course, we go to other incarnations. I was much more with that connection, of course, and karmic relationships with the family members, etc. But this was the thing that comes a lot, a lot. Like I was also like, I'm also surprised how often it comes. I'm like, what's going on in this world, like literally. And another thing also, as you, Nina, said, was about the healers, because for me also it's the same. Like 9 to 10 people that they will come for session will be healers, and they will be actually doubting about the gifts, about the direction. But when we go into hypnosis, it's so clear. And then actually they say, oh, I kind of knew it was that, but I was not believing enough in myself to go for it. But now I go for it. And yeah, and it gives them this push, and they go for it afterwards. Like I see people really going for their gifts afterwards, even with one hypnosis session, believing in them. Yeah. So these are the main things. Another thing, I don't know if it's relevant, but it's a lot about like a flood. This
Mm.
comes a lot lately. I'm like, okay. Like once I was like, okay, one person, then second person, and then also I was channeling and came also to me, and I was like, okay,
Mm.
it's a flood coming, and I didn't read anything. I was not into. I was busy to look in videos and stuff. So this is another thing from various people from different places from the world saying the same thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So there were a few clients that had the same type of imagery of.
Yeah, about a flood, and also, I mean, the spaceships also is a thing that come a lot. Like lately, like spaceships, like most of the people go into spaceships, or they are saying about spaceships, and it's a lot of like the presence of like Andromedans, Syrians is very, it's very present, and it comes a lot, like very more than before. Yeah, I can also
Mhm,
see that. Yeah,
mhm.
yeah.
One thing I want to speak to, and I see Leanne's waiting for us. I'll let her in after I make a little comment on this. A few things. One is the flood imagery. I know this is something really common with in the awakened community of people having dreams or things coming up in the sessions as well. And this could be a multitude of things. It could be an actual physical event of some kind. It could also be symbolic of emotional flooding. It
Yeah.
could also be symbolic of an outpouring of light from, of divine light coming through. There's so much, and each of them may be similar, and like when coming through different clients, and they could all mean the same thing. um, the other thing I wanted to bring up was the ET thing. This comes up a lot in a lot of our sessions. Is that there's communication, there's connection, there's ancestry from beyond this earth, and possibly even happening simultaneous to one's physical life. So once we start talking about these kinds of things, we're really starting to go into multidimensionality, infinite life. So if you're somebody who is not so sure about reincarnation. Maybe you don't believe in it. Maybe you come from a tradition or a religion that doesn't believe in that, and may even have a negative look on somebody that might think about those things. That's totally fine. The sessions will also work for somebody who absolutely doesn't believe in reincarnation or past lives.
Yeah.
And so you can even think of the imagery, if you're not ready for past lives yet, or to entertain the idea that you've lived before, or yeah. Then think of the imagery and the information as being just helpful information from your subconscious that has meaning. There's emotional themes. If there's it's evoking some type of insight as you're seeing the experiences. Well, some people see them, some people hear them, some people just feel the information coming through. But that there is this dialogue happening with the practitioner and the client about what's being evoked in these sessions. And then by the end of this session, I think Nina and I were even talking about it before we got in about this architecture of the session that just happens. That by the end of the session, there's these things that weave in and out of theme and storyline.
Yeah.
I want to bring in. Well, now I see Leanne, your signal just went down again. So we're going to go into the next question till you get a. Oh no, you're. It's in and out. I'll give you a try. I'll give you a try. We'll see what happens. Ready? Here we go. You're in. Okay, let's see. Can you hear us? Oh, she's not
Oh,
working. Yeah. Well, she is just. You're multidimensional. You can have your conversations come through us.
yeah, your energy is here anyway.
Yeah, bless you. Um. Okay, so the next question had to do with healings. I wanted to know about what's been happening. What are clients coming in with physical issues? So what's the connection there? What healing happens in the sessions? Yeah, we'll start with Nina.
Oh, all sorts of healing. A lot of it is to do with different emotions that are trapped within the body. A lot of them have come from experiences within this life, but many of them also come from experiences in other lifetimes, or have an emotion that has attached in a lifetime and has stayed with you through multiple lifetimes, and has carried through patterns of disease, of struggle, of trauma, of depression, of whatever it is, throughout all these different lifetimes. So there'll be this a theme that, and it will just be carried with you, and will likely manifest in some form of ailment within the body. A lot of the time when I speak, I go in and speak to the emotion directly because I like to have a good chat with it and see what it's about. A lot of the time it's to do with fear. There's a lot of fear in people's bodies that attaches, and sometimes we can release it with one session. Other times you've got to dig deeper and deeper, and more of it will unfold, and more of it will be ready to release. What else with the healings? I mean, there's just so much. There's been so many
Can you give an
incredible
example?
healings.
Can you give an example of a manifestation of illness and how that developed for somebody? Because I feel like they shared really lovely
Yeah.
about how it works. Now, can you give us an example?
Yeah, I have a client. She's a mentorship client. She had come to me after a really, really difficult life experience. Just one of the hardest stories I've heard. And she had colitis, and she had tried so many different ways to try and get this under control, and it wasn't. And we went in the first time, and they said it's a lot to do with fear. There's a lot of fear in there, and they didn't go too much deeper with it. They only let us do so much. They said there's more that needs to be discovered. There's more that needs to be integrated. What we did within that session, they said it was a lot for her. She would need to integrate that before we could go any deeper. So we did what we could with that one session, and then we went back maybe a month later and did her second session. And we ended up going to back to this fear again, and we dug a little deeper as to where this had come from. And they said it had come to her 7 lifetimes ago. It had been through an accident that she'd had where she was trampled by a horse, and this horse jumped. The fear had been in the horse, and it jumped from the horse and into her and attached to her system. It was attached in this lower chakra area, and it had been there for so long, and it just enjoyed being within her system. So we spoke to the fear. I had a long chat with it. I got very well acquainted with it. And I asked if it needed to be there, and if we could let it go, if we could let it release. And eventually we got to the place where it could, and we allowed it to do that. And she just said instantly, you could see it on her face, she just said, I just feel so much lighter. And she's been doing really, really good since then. Wonderful, in fact. And yeah, it's an ongoing thing. It's hard to pinpoint one specific healing that has jumped out at me, because they've all been incredible. The way I do it is I like to go in really deep. I don't just ask the higher self. I ask the actual consciousness of whatever it is that's causing the ailment or the disease, and I like to ask what it is that's keeping it there, and that's how I can do it.
Beautiful sharing there. I think it's a new concept for much of the world to think about the manifestation of illness or disturbance in the body as having some level of consciousness itself, that it has an intention, a purpose, a desire. Even when we're talking about these thought form attachments that happen, this transference that happens, we are talking about emotional patterning. mental patterning that has even some levels sometimes of life force in itself. So it's a thought that even has, and it needs to continue replenishing. So energetic hygiene is really, really important, and it's part of these sessions. It's not just finding the subconscious reason of why it's ill, but it's really about cleaning the entire structure of the physical body, the energetic body, the mind, getting everything to be working in perfection, no disturbances, no distortions. So it's much, much more thorough than, I don't want to put like an energy, like a hands-on healing in a lower category or anything like that, because miraculous, incredible healings can happen with that. But with these types of processes like Nina's sharing, you can find so much information about what's there, what the purpose is, and what is needed to understand to bring everything back into perfect health and balance. And like Nina said, sometimes it's a layer of an onion. You bite off a little bit, chew it, process it, and go a little bit deeper the next time you work around. So there's much, much benefit in having multiple sessions. Let's hear from beautiful Ria.
Yeah, I totally agree about what you said about the connection with the emotions and the thought patterns and all of these. Totally. I would share a little bit about my experience. What I realized that helps people the most, it's to understand why this is happening to them, because they always come with this question, why this is happening to me, and they have kind of like anger almost towards the thing, the disease, or to themselves. Why me? And when we speak with this consciousness and it says why and what it's doing there, it's kind of a relief already for them to understand why. And I think just because making sense of what it is, it's already starting the healing process. And the process is very different for everyone. That's what I understand. Somebody can heal in one session. Somebody can need 2 years, 5 years, multiple sessions, but this is very personal. It depends how open is the person to really take the healing and go forward. So it's not sometimes when the people need to come multiple times, it's because actually they are not allowing the energy to flow through them. They have this subconscious blockage or belief that they cannot actually heal. And some of them, you see them, they just come one time and they're just like, boom, like they completely go to the next level. So, and I also want to say that there's nothing good or bad with it. It's not somebody is doing better or worse than another. It's just that everybody's so different and they have to work through different layers, as Nina said also. Because, for example, somebody can come for a pain in the low back, and of course they will tell that can be, for example, economical problems in this life and having a lot of stress. But then the next session we go deeper, and will be many lifetimes we'll struggle with survival, for example, or other things. And more and more we go, more we clean. And this is also very important, also to have multiple sessions, but also to for them to understand why this is happening, and willing also to change, because it's all about them to decide to change. Because in some cases, for example, I'll tell you, because I want to share something different than Nina, to give people different perspectives. For example, a woman came and she was blocked in the nose. Like she said, I have rhinitis all the time, like for many years now. And we start looking at the relationship with her husband, and it was not very good. So the higher self told her to break up with the husband and take her 2 kids and just leave and go there, and because it was very abusive and she had to go. And she calls me a week after and she said, she was like 40 years old. That was almost 2 years ago, the session, but I remember it. And she calls me and she's like, Ria, I don't have the rhinitis anymore. I said, I had all of my life. What's going on? And she didn't break up, of course. And then she didn't have rhinitis for 1 month after the session. But of course, she didn't change anything. She was still in a very abusive relationship and with a lot of violence, and came back. So you see, that's what I mean. It's about if you can decide to change also.
Yes.
The higher self will give you all the information, will tell you exactly what to do, and it's up to you then. And also for the process, like to really allow yourself to go in the process, because some people have also resistance to go inside and look what comes up. Because in the session we are like doing a surgery, we open up, things come up, but then they do the work themselves. We cannot do the work for them. So that's also something they have to understand, and give time to process and see, look inside them. And that's how they heal. That's how I see people healing, only through these.
Yeah.
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 So we're not doing miracles. We're just there ourselves, actually showing the path, and all the information is available. Like always, everything that they need for the healing, everything. Like literally, even the food. Sometimes even they tell them what. Today they were telling me what herbs to take or find this kind of weird stuff. And I was like, oh my god, they get very specific sometimes. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Thank
yeah.
you for sharing that. The importance of, I think it's the opposite of what we've all been trained in terms of our health. Health was like you put the responsibility of your health in the doctor, that you go, like allopathic medicine. You go there, they just throw you some prescriptions and see you for a few moments, and then that's supposed to fix your health. And
Yeah.
this is so different because it's inviting someone to come into their deepest truth and to really live their deepest ethics, and
Mhm.
to break free of limitation, and to really, and it does require a level of self-honesty
Yeah.
that is, what a beautiful invitation. It's like, will I follow what I already know is like really the best for me, what is
Mhm.
really like my truest joy and my truest truth, or will I continue to numb out, to stay in habit, and avoid myself. And that's really, I mean, there's the mantra of lead me from the untrue to the truth, from the
Mhm.
unreal to the real,
Yeah, yeah.
from this illusion of mortality into my infinite being. Like that really is. And through these sessions, people get to taste that, they get to feel it, they get to peek beyond the curtain to see a little bit of what else is out there. And I can understand why. Wow, what an initiation to be so willing to be able to let go of everything that you've, the
Yeah.
whole structure that you've made yourself up to be and not to be, and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
Some people are scared to heal. They're scared. I've worked with some people who've had some really serious ailments, and I worked with one client in particular who had a very serious accident, and here we are a decade later, and she's still unable to walk, still struggling with pain every single day of her life. And she sat there with me and just said, I'm scared to heal. I'm scared for my life to change because I've created one thing for myself for so long. I don't know where my life is beyond now, beyond,
yeah,
and to be able to be that open and that honest with yourself. Um, and that's the beautiful thing about this work, is that it will meet you where you're at. It will meet you where you are.
Mhm.
It won't take you any shorter, any further than you need to go. It just sees where you are, and it loves you and cares for you and will meet you right there. And it will show you exactly what it is about yourself that you need to see in order for you to take the steps that you want to take to reach the goals that you want to reach.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think I also agree with what Nina said, and I want to say how smooth is the process of hypnosis, where I find some other healing modalities being very kind of aggressive energy or pushing way too much that people can handle. Like I had certain people coming with Kundalini raising, and they couldn't know what to do, or they were afraid to channel because they had so strong experience that they were like
Mm-hmm.
scared of going to the spiritual side because of that. And
Mm-hmm.
I think hypnosis is super safe in this term and super smooth, and is very loving energy and will not take you anywhere that you're not you cannot understand, or is not going to push you anywhere. So this is very important for people also to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where
Mm-hmm.
with even with energy healing sometimes can be more intense than the person can handle, and some people like vomit or get dizzy, where with hypnosis it's totally gentle and in their pace completely. Yeah,
Yeah. What
yeah.
a great point to bring up. Because there is this, some of these videos that you see of some of these sessions up, from somebody who might not know about what really was going on there, it can look, because the bodies sometimes are shaking, there's movement happening, there's all this random movement that might happen. This is all if you're not aware of Kundalini awakening and what it does as it moves through the body, it can look really strange and odd. So in these experiences, like when we're doing this work, that activation can happen in a really safe container, because we're connecting with something. It's not just a spontaneous event that happens because of a triggered trauma in life, or I don't know. There's many reasons why Kundalini might start moving. But in these sessions, the container that's held, the way the practitioner is with the client, the energies that are supporting it, you can move through these metaphysical experiences in a really enjoyable way, that isn't just a way that feels enjoyable, feels natural, feels digestible, safe. And for those that don't understand what hypnosis is, I've been reading into some. Right now I'm reading a book called The Secret Doctrine. It's a very old, like not too old. It's only 100 years old, or 150, 1888. It's one of the more recent sharings of the secret teachings that have been held by different traditions over different times. These states, what we call hypnosis now, have been called meditation, superconscious development, the Atman, the Yoga Nidra. These are all, we call it hypnosis now. That's a new word. It was mesmerization, I think, was the term before that. But even if you go back even further, these modalities have been tested, tried, and true for thousands of years, to assist people through their own healing, through their own liberation from limitations of the mind and cycles of suffering. So, and that's also something that's different about IQH, is that we honor those lineages, that we pull from them, we're fed by them. And we have experience with them. So it's coming with also old lineage, a long line of beings that have continued to share and to protect these teachings, so that we can be at this time of massive transformation, so that there'd be wide access to this information, so that we could all use it during these times.
If I can say something, Michael, I would like to say that I find hypnosis a very holistic system, because I tried so many things. I'm also giving energy healings, and I worked a lot with crystals, and I tried so many different modalities like shamanic healings, all this kind of stuff. And I find it very holistic, because you feel so complete after a session. And also myself, when I start having sessions, like all of things are covered. Like first you speak to the practitioner, so you actually release everything, you emotions, everything, you express how you feel. You have all this time actually. And then also you go to get information for the subconscious. You have the healing part. And then also you have the guidance for the higher self. So all the aspects are covered, where I don't know any other modality that gives that thing. Because, for example, when I go usually I used to go a lot for theta healing or energy healing stuff, or hands-on healing. And I will still leave and I will be like, something missing or something. I always want to go back to the practitioner for some reason. Well, with hypnosis, literally, you feel so full and complete on a good way. And of course, you will love to go back, but it's just, you get everything: the healing, the guidance, the support, the emotional part as well, the mind part as well. So that's what I want to mention. I find it impressive. It's still impressive when I also go for sessions, because I also go and to other practitioners, and I'm still like, wow, I'm still, of course.
Nina, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, there's no stone uncovered. We're thorough with, and I love how long these sessions are, in that they do everything from the journey and I mean, a lot of the questions are answered in the journey as well, which is so beautiful too. And then you get the confirmation of having that communication with the higher self, and then it goes into the physical body and the healing, and and it's just so full. It's just so full. And then at the end of the session, we get to say, "Are we complete?" And you
I love that
know,
one.
are we complete? And the higher self gives us the okay that yes, we're done. Or there's this little bit
Or this.
here we need to, So when we're done, we know we're really done, and it's good. It's a good feeling.
Oh, I love that moment. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, it's like, have we actually reached, the
Yeah.
ultimate of what we can achieve in this time
Yes.
together?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many times have I gone to a doctor and been like,
Yeah.
there's a lot left to be.
Yeah. Come next week.
Yeah.
He's like the doctor. Yeah.
This is something I wanted to bring up. Well, I haven't been to too. Anyway, that's my own life stories. So Ria wanted to talk about the continuation of the work, about how the session continues, the benefits continue even after doing the session, like after meeting up. Can you explain a little bit about what a
Yeah.
person might experience after?
Yeah, I always say this to people because sometimes people they think that they come for a session and they just benefit at that day and that's it. But this is actually like an activation or like a transmission, if it's the right word in English, where we are activating and we are just bringing this completely new energy and the old energy is leaving. So this takes a time and process. And also I always say to the people to pay attention to the dreams, because in the dream stage again they enter the theta waves, the same ways when we go into hypnosis. So again the process continues, so they can receive prophetic dreams, they can receive dreams of clearing, they receive activation. Some people say even they see their guides coming in the dreams, but they didn't see in the session how they look and they come afterwards. So it continues. Some others say I had a life in Egypt and I saw the rest in the dreams in the next week. So it can also happen, especially if it's something really important for them. It will come more and more. And this is actually one session is, I say it's for lifetime, because like one session can clear so many different layers that literally sometimes you need a lifetime or even more to clean these layers if you will not have a session like that. Literally so many things. And the clearing is not just for example, somebody comes from a physical disease. It goes beyond that. It's because this also has layers. It's not just the physical, right? It has different ones. So this is also important for them to know, that the work continues for a long time. Literally, for example, if I say for my personal experience, I would have one session and I would still going on for 2 years afterwards, and I would still release it, and I would be like, I'm still working on that now, and I'm still didn't integrate it fully, because sometimes it's big and you don't realize that how all this healing is such a big for the body. And now we have this opportunity in this lifetime to heal that, where before probably we didn't have, to clear so much karma in one life and raise the consciousness. So it's a great opportunity, these sessions, to do that. And it's as fast as it can be in a human life, right? But still it takes time to process. And yeah, that's important for people to know, that is not just like you're going for any other kind of type of healing, because this is different. It's the deepest thing you can do with a subconscious mind. It can really works on the root of everything. And even I say to people, it can change your future, because changing now, clearing the past is changing your future. Now you're stuck, tomorrow you live in abundance. It can happen because you're healing that and releasing and bringing in. So it's that's so powerful. Yeah.
It's
And
so much more.
I see it in my own journey, and I see it in people happening. I see people really being successful after realizing some stuff, going for the goal and just opening up. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's I'm happy that you're bringing up this accelerated growth, this accelerated healing, and because normally what happens if you weren't seeing a practitioner like this, or actively seeking out higher knowledge related to certain issues, what happens is these experiences are recorded. A lot of times, let's say there's a trauma in a past life. The trauma could be something, I don't know, watching your house burn down and your family's inside. That's a really powerful emotion. It's powerful thought patterning. It's powerful energy moving in the body to the different body parts. It's too much to really experience the fullness of it at one shot. It would burn up the nervous system and the consciousness. So this body does this incredible thing where it holds on to it. It's kind of like putting a pillow over something that's loud. It kind of dampens it a little bit, holds it in a little bit, and then hopefully over that lifetime, that information is going to be released from the body, from the mind, thoughts are corrected, all that kind of stuff. Now, what doesn't get, and what that information eventually becomes is virtue. I understand why that happened. I understand my part in that. I understand the nugget that really illuminates what that was trying to teach me. Now, if that lesson, if that virtue hasn't been uncovered, if you will, from the experience, then those things will stay in the background, and people come into our life, circumstances come into our life that do this clashing. It's a clashing of some kind, and what was hidden, what was in the unconscious, what was in the deep in the hidden parts of one's consciousness, then erupts and comes forward into consciousness, into form, so that it can be experienced, let off the steam of it a little bit, have another opportunity to get another look at it. And I'm sure all of us can recognize cycles of that happening. Same thing again and again. I respond the same way. I shoot myself with a foot again again, sometimes literally. But so in these sessions, what can happen is, instead of having the clashing, it's brought up, looked at, experienced in a really safe container, so that it can be released from the physical tissues, from the organs, from the energy patterning, from the thought process that creates such a thing. So in one session, we go through, there's so many experiences in one session, so many like little emotions that people go through. So it's a little explanation about what's happening there. Okay. From this, is there anything else that you two were feeling like you wanted to talk while I'm thinking of something else to discuss?
I think with what we were saying about the what happens after a session, what's experienced after a session, it's really amazing. I think people feel so charged and so sparkly and shiny and brand new after a session. It can take a little bit of time for everything that has happened to really fully integrate into their consciousness, because we cover so much. And so it can be a couple of months down the line, a year down the line, and then suddenly something will go and snap into place, and they'll go back to a part in the session and go, oh, that's what that was about. That was why they brought this up. Because the information there's just so much information that comes, it can take that little bit of time for it to catch up with them. I'm still integrating stuff from my own first session. I'm still taking wisdom from and I'm still in awe of my own first session, because it was amazing. So there's just so much that's covered. That it takes time for us to fully catch up with it all. And I think what you were saying as well, Michael, about there's things that come up in your life, those patterns that reappear. I'm also noticing that I have a lot of clients who have family struggles, family issues that keep coming up, that they can't seem to get a handle of. They don't understand why the dynamics are the way they are. And with these sessions, we can really go deep into the understanding of what these contracts are on a soul level, and what you have planned before you've come into this life, and the reasons for the relationships being the way they are. And I think there's a huge amount of healing that comes in that, when you can understand at a much deeper level why you have these relationships with one. It can really heal those relationships as well, in a beautiful way. And that just kind of popped in my head as you were speaking, so I wanted to bring that.
Yeah, Ria, do
And
you
I
have
think,
something you want? Go ahead. Sorry.
no, sorry. I think it heals not only the person who's going through that experience. It heals the family as well, because when you heal yourself in this way, you respond and react differently in the situations that come up within these dynamics, and um, it heals everyone that's involved in it. The ripple effects are very strong.
Yeah.
It's also a very, a lot of times, at least the way that I finish my sessions, I don't know if you finish yours exactly like this, but we dedicate the session's benefits to all beings, to liberate all beings from cycles of suffering. That we, put that some of the benefit of what we've done hopefully benefits beyond ourself, and that in that experience. And I really love what you're sharing there. That it's, if you're having family discord, if there's a lot of suffering in the family, healing yourself,
Yeah.
and those things that are alive within you is freeing the rest of your family, even generations back and forward, of from those patterns. Ria, did you have something, sweetheart, you wanted to say?
No, no.
No. Well, one thing that it brought up was this term that I've been playing around with called holographic memory, which I am, where in the mundane kind of normal human consciousness we have linear memory. Oh, I did this, and then I did that, and then I did that, and then I did that. But then in these sessions, and also through the flashes of insight that are coming via superconscious ability, that it's holographic. It can be a flash of a scene, but it has a lot of information in it. It has a lot of subtle information and nuanced information in it, that takes a moment to unpack, to look at it. What does that mean? How does that apply to my life? Sometimes it's abstract, and the abstractness helps to understand a deeper place within those linear things that are more concrete. I'd love to hear about your sessions that you've had with yourself. What was your experience like with as a first time person? I was with Ria when she had hers.
Yes, yes. I had my first session with Ron,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't believe any of those back then. I didn't believe in past lives. I was in a period where I was quite lost, actually. I was not knowing what to do with work, with the place I was. I had all the kind of questions with every aspect of my life, with a partner, everything. And then all the session was about my soul gifts, like literally was all about that. And I remember after the session, I was saying to Ron, like, is any of those true? Like, this actually, because he was also asking me for some other like planets and stuff, and I said, is this true what I was saying? He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Many people are saying these things, and I was like, okay. And then it took me a while to understand what's going on, but then it started working. It was weird. It started activating the gifts like out of nowhere, and even if I didn't believe, and then it started coming up and up. And of course I continue working with hypnosis for a long time now. I almost 2 years and a half I'm having sessions, and it really changed every time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do channeling, I ask my guides, they many times they tell me, listen to this hypnosis session you had, listen to that one that you had. They, literally, yeah, literally. Now I have a list of them. So they guide me always to listen to the sessions to get the answers,
Wow.
because again, of course, I'm going doing the same and then again the same answer.
Yeah.
And it also it helped me a lot with toxic relationships. This is the main theme that I was working. It helped me so much with that, like literally. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
with the soul gifts, I was not believing in myself back then when I started. I had very low self-worth, and I was going into cycles of like putting myself down to be with relationship, with friends, with every aspect. I was putting myself down, and that completely changed with the years and with the self-work and the activations of the sessions. Yeah. So yeah, it totally works. Yeah, and actually that's why I'm so passionate about it, because it worked for me, and I
Mhm.
had my own experience, and I'm not speaking out of books. I'm speaking out of what I experienced myself, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of yeah. Okay, I
I
can
want to
finish.
share that actually because when I facilitated a session with you, it activated me in a way that I just wanted to share with you, because it's that was this, like, we had asked about why we felt this deep connection to each other and to show us, past connections. And one of them was the bakery, like our marriage, like our, this, like, we were part of
We
our
were
life
married
was,
before.
yeah, we were baking food and serving the community with yummy food. And I have to say that after that session, after just even being in the space and watching you go through it, um, it reignited this, like, creative genius around the stove. Like, now I'm cooking so much, and with, like, and it's an alchemy thing. It's like I'm, like, pulling from the spices and, like, check it, you stir. It's like all of a sudden I'm like, you know, quantum
Yeah,
chef. It's pretty cool. And I think of you almost every meal that I make. I'm like, oh, Ria,
that's so funny. That's so funny.
Oh.
I miss those times.
For me, the most strange thing that happened is, I think, the second session or the third, they told me about astrology. And for me back then was not something I was doing for work, like, because I was working as a yoga teacher, as an energy healer. And then every time I will look at the chart, I will know what it is. I will know. And then more things
Mm-hmm.
came up. And actually, I realized that I know, but I didn't study in this life, right? And then,
Yeah.
of course, I studied. And even now, sometimes I will look at something and I will look back in the book and will be exactly the same of the thing I don't know sometimes. So it's very interesting how it brought up the knowledge, activated.
Mm-hmm.
And I
And
didn't know
this
about it. Yeah.
and this is the superconscious mind. This is what, when we have the physical body, we have the subtle body, and then even more subtle than the energy in the mind, we have
Mm-hmm.
the causal body, which could be considered the superconscious mind. So when she's looking at a chart and there's just this knowing that emerges from deeper than her rational mind has, this is
Mhm.
because of the impressions that have been stored from those other lifetimes. And this is naturally something that you start to develop when you start going through your awakening process.
Mm-hmm.
It just starts to trickle in. And practices like this, or any type of spiritual education and spiritual practices, are going to help somebody cultivate. You can call it intuition. There's many levels and layers and aspects to it. There's also buddhi is a great word if you're wanting to look up developing the superconscious. It's the part that flashes the insights. It's considered the vehicle for the soul in the Sanskrit traditions.
Yeah.
Um, or the Holy Spirit is another word. It's like when that information comes in that's beyond, when you're feeling like, when you're in your gifts, when you're
Mm-hmm.
sharing, and there's that extra light that comes through you when you're in your gifts. This is that part of the superconscious mind when you're in those flow states. And so IQH sessions help, really cultivate that. It's mostly undeveloped in most of humanity. But those that are starting to go through their awakening process, starting to become empathic, intuitive, it's these faculties that we're working with and developing. And this is one of the gifts of being alive at this time. We have this opportunity to advance ourselves at supersonic rates,
Mm-hmm.
and become super conscious humans, and that's super exciting for me.
Yeah.
Um, Nina, let me hear about your experiences, because you were having also frequent sessions.
Yeah, I've had. I stopped counting how many sessions. Because I mean, when you start this work, it's really good to get the practice in by swapping and sharing and learning through the sharing. So I had quite a lot when I first started, and obviously we're developing and healing ourselves through the work as well. So it was really important to me um, to go there and dive deep and really get some deep healing for myself. That was my way into the work. Was I was really looking for a way to heal a lot of the struggles that I'd been through the years previously. I went through a huge I call it initiation now. But it was a good few years of constant real struggle. And I needed to find a way to make sure that I was okay so that my daughter could be okay. Because I knew that, that I didn't want to pass what I had been through onto her. And that was my main goal, was making sure that I could clean myself up enough to do as little damage as possible. And she was really my inspiration for healing in a lot of ways. And my first session was actually a BQH session. That was my way into the work, was BQH. And I was so ready for something like that. I didn't know what it was at first. I just agreed to do it because I was looking for something that might help me. And I just dived in, and it was just all that magic inside of me that had been suppressed for so long with just being human suddenly was allowed to be, and was allowed to flow through me and out of me. And a lot of it was about healing a lot of my anxiety, and where all that had stemmed from, where that had come from. Because I knew that I had something really lovely to offer the world, but I was just so scared, and I had very, very low self-esteem. And so my very first session was a lot about healing those things, and was definitely a recruitment session. It was showing me that I was supposed to be doing this work, and it also really showed me how connected I already was to my higher self, because a lot of the information that came from my higher self was stuff I had already heard myself say to myself, and it was stuff that it's already in my awareness. I just didn't have the confidence to really believe it, and to hear it come through my voice saying these things. And my conscious mind's back there going, hey, she's really got it together. Like, she really, I wish I could be like her all the time. And hearing this all coming through as my higher self, all this wonderful information. And I'm like, wow, this is something really amazing. So I came out of that session, and I just had a completely different view about life and about the world. My first IQH session, wow, that was out of this world. I have to say, it was quite literally out of this world. Yeah, we connected with my Arcturian aspect. So we connect with all these different aspects of ourselves, and we can take on their abilities and use them within the work that we do. And that was what that session was about. And it was a lot about healing my struggles with birth, with my pregnancy and womb and things like that. So we're using a lot of the light language from the Arcturians to heal a lot of that stuff. But my body was moving and convulsing and doing all sorts in that session. There was a lot going on. It was full on. It was really amazing, really amazing, and a totally different just feeling that the work. It was just it was beautiful though. I loved it. It was so both modalities have been wonderful experience.
I'd love to hear you all talk about this concept of multiple aspects, parallel lives, and light language. Yeah, I think those are some great topics to weave in. So what would you like? Do you have anything to share about those?
Oh, which one?
I don't know. I was waiting to see who was most excited. was like reading your faces, like who is on whose website I'm talking
Who did he ask?
You said about light languages and parallel lives, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like other aspects, because I think we use those terms because all this stuff is like really
Yeah.
familiar to us. But what does that mean to somebody who's so new? Doesn't.
So the light language is it's a super tool, I will call it. So yeah, it helped me a lot. I discovered it also after I think my second or third hypnosis session that I was actually able to channel the light language. And I think after I did the full course of training with Michael and Ron, the practitioner training, then it was so totally activated afterwards. we did a lot of that. And I think it's very helpful in the process. And I also do it during some sessions. I feel and I do light language, and also some people they do it even they don't know they can do it. They just start doing it, and for healing. And it's actually just channeling from how to say other energies from other kind of existences that are in a higher energetic space than we are. Is nothing really. I don't like to connect it so much with extraterrestrials and stuff like that. More like higher dimensions that actually the light that they have, they channel with this kind of like vibrational words or whatever it is here. But it really helped me, the light language, for my personal healing. I do it for myself a lot. And actually I will have a swollen finger. I do light language. It will just go. It's very powerful. So that's my experience about that. And the parallel lives, about the parallel lives, I mean, I believe that everything from personal experience, that everything is parallel. And for example, if I'm a shaman in a parallel life, let's say, and I can really connect with that gift and bring it to my current center now and focus, I can really have these gifts, and that's why I say how powerful is this kind of work. And that's how it worked for me. I connected with different soul gifts from different parallel lives, and I bring them back. And sometimes they stay as soul fragments in parallel lives, and until you call them back, you literally have to call them back, and then you can just they can just integrate in you. And this can happen.
Can you share with that, like when it integrates, how do you use that information? Like how is it helpful for you? Maybe.
For example, if I would have a parallel life, for example, doing something bad, using magic, let's say, with a bad intention, and now I'm blocked to use my magic on my throat because I was doing like bad spells or something like that.
You naughty girl.
Which is now, and then sorry about that, and then I will go to this parallel life and clean that and reclaim my gift and heal this part and this wound. And and that can also open completely new doors for me, because this is the karma is clean. Now I'm manifesting a completely new reality, and open door is there for me, right? That's how I work with it and I understand it, especially with the soul fragments. Like literally something tiny can have happened somewhere, but it can be such a big trauma for someone. And if you don't release it, even the person maybe didn't cry enough, you can still store in the energetic body and come now and be like, oh, I still feel this knot here or there. And like, we can find it, what it is, and release it. Yeah. I don't know if I'm clear to what
I
I
think
mean.
you're crystal clear.
Okay.
Thank you. You sound great. I'm the same way. Sometimes I just spew a bunch of stuff out and I'm like, I hope it was understandable.
Yeah.
And people seem to think it's okay, so I think it's okay.
That's good. Okay.
Nina, what do you want to share?
About light language. Well, I see light language as just information that is coming in through you, that basically higher dimensional information that comes through you, that the way it comes through, it bypasses the conscious mind. So it allows us to integrate the information without the conscious mind going, hey, wait a minute, I want to be in control. It allows it to come through and for you to fully absorb and activate. And, if there's codes in it or whatever information is embedded in it, it can come and be embedded in you without that distortion of the mind. And I mean, I about it before I started this work. I didn't really know much about it until it started happening to me. And then I discovered what it was. And I discovered that I'd actually been doing it for a long time. And it was just something that had been happening for a long time. I just had never put a word to it. And then as I had my IQH session with that aspect of myself from Arcturus, and it was the hand-like language that was what they were doing at first, along with the sort of energy healing work that was happening with that, and then the verbal came after, and it's something I continue to work with myself and with my clients. They said it's something that I'll just develop over time, and it's just something that comes, and the more you do it, the less your mind's involved in it, and you just allow it to flow. I do it within my meditations as well a lot. I find it a really nice way for me to get into a good state to do whatever I need to do for myself. The parallel lives, I have a client who calls it finding her treasure. She goes into these different parts of realms, aspects of herself, and finds her treasure. The last time we had a session, she found her confidence. She went into a lifetime where she was a grid worker. She was working with a blue grid that was around the entire Earth. It was connected to source. She's since then had a lot more downloads about it being connected to all of us who do this work, and light workers around the world are all connected within this blue grid that is helping illuminate and reconnect the world and transmute a lot of the energy that needs to leave the world right now. But she was this grid worker in ancient times, and she would work on this grid, and we went through her life from childhood when she was being taught. She was like a mentor, being taught how to do this work, to when she was like an older lady, and she'd been doing it for years. And just that ease of flow and the confidence and the gift that she had, and that she was able to do, and they really made her feel that ability within herself to do what she is able to do. They made her really feel the confidence again, and there it was just fully back within her again. She could really feel herself in that space of just being fully confident in who she was, and being able to shine in what she does. And she's now on her way to becoming a practitioner herself. So she's doing wonderful. So
it's amazing. It's like it activates. It's, again, there's those unconscious gifts that we have no idea, but then in the sessions we can feel them again. They come into the awareness, and then we can access it much easier after it's come forward. I wanted to speak to, because sometimes I think the common light language that's out right now is this, that people are knowing about more or less, or the collective agreement of what light language is, has to do with the voice and using mudras or using hands while doing it. I also I was reading about the gifts of the Holy Spirit. I found this book of my grandmother. She was a Methodist Christian, and I was like, "Oh, what's this book? I'm going to look into it and see what my grandmother was poking around in." And in this one, and this is also, I've now come to the point where I realize the Holy Spirit and what the Sanskrit traditions call buddhi, that enlightened consciousness, enlightened energy, very probably the same thing. But there are many, I think in the Bible, it might even speak of 40 different gifts of the Holy Spirit, 40 different ways that the divine works through the instrument to bring in a shift of vibration, whether that be through the voice or it could be through dancing. Mine has always been through dancing, the way that I move and the energy that I can call in as I dance. People are painting these incredible paintings, these visionary paintings that have so much encoded in them. And so, but they're like any other craft, one we have to try. We have to like actually do it. I know for myself, when I was hearing people do the vocal light languaging, and I was like, who am I to even think that I could do something like that? Like, I felt like it needed to be something that was like, I don't know, handed to me by a supreme being or something like that. Or and then what I started to notice was all the subconscious beliefs that I had around sharing my voice, when I'm appropriate, when I'm welcome in a space, when, you know, fear of being ostracized, fear of being cast out from tribe, um, not even valuing myself. And as I started to, it actually, for me, what started to open up my voice started with mantra, through Sanskrit mantra, to start to even think that somehow my words could actually be healing, that they could actually be, that I could generate sound that was of a divine nature. And as I started to do that more and more, and then starting to experiment with it more and and notice even those moments, even now when I start to work with it, when I go into toning and I start to intend to connect with my soul, higher self, whatever, and bring and imbue my vocal vibrations with this, I can feel the difference of when I'm doing that in a bliss or flow state, and then when the conscious mind comes in and wants to alter it a little bit, wants to, and there's a shift for me, in how I feel even as I'm doing it. One has like a really enlivening feeling throughout the whole body, and then once the ego steps in a bit more, then it kind of dampens it a little bit. So I think this place of surrender, this place of faith, and the willingness to try that reaching is really important for spiritual development. To try to get to the higher capacity, to try to um, be a higher version of yourself, and to connect. You know that this is the key. And even in the in the mystical traditions of yoga, where they have steps of how a person goes through their ascension process, there is a place of limitation, where that desire to reach beyond is essential, to take it that last leg of the development. So I think that's the thing to cultivate, more and more. It's just that desire and the willingness to um, evolve yourself beyond what you've known already and embodied. There's somebody asked a question. We have one. Do all people that speak light language understand each other? Who wants to answer that question?
I think the word understand is maybe the limit, where the limitation lies, because we're not speaking it to be understood. We're speaking it to be expressed, because we know that there's information encoded within what we're saying that is going to be ultimately beneficial, whether you're doing it for yourself or whether you're doing it to aid somebody else's healing. I've got clients who do light language on themselves when they're going through their healing, and it's not to be understood, it's just to be expressed, I think.
Mm-hmm. Ria?
My personal experience is sometimes when I channel light language, I do also translation. Lately, the last months, and actually, the last 6 months, I was channeling some songs in Portuguese. And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting even more weird. And then I looked on the internet, and actually there were medicine songs, and they were existing like in Portuguese like that. And I don't know Portuguese. I know Spanish, but not Portuguese. So there were actually some words, like I was in trance, and I would be like, okay, that is a word. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And then I will be saying one phrase, and because I was freaking out with what I was doing, I will have translation, and then again and again. And also this happened with channeling some Northern American Indian kind of stuff. that I was getting the translation, because they were giving me the guidance with light language. So I was healing the language and also to understand what they were saying. So it also can happen if you need it. I thought in this period I needed to understand what they were saying. So it happened, but in most of the times I feel the vibration, what it's all about.
Yes.
I have a deeper
You can feel the
understanding.
energy.
I feel what it's about. Like I know this is, for example, healing my womb and this vibration, and yeah. Or when I do to a person, to a client, I also know it's about that, but I don't, because this again, as Nina said, is the mind that wants to logical explanation, but they have different logic and higher.
And that's where this holographic understanding, it's like it's abstract. It's not it works in a way that bypasses conscious concrete thinking, that it evokes something more than just this means this. It means a lot of things at once. It's like a and I think also because most people, when they're hearing light language, often they are in a place of receptivity, like they're in a place where they are listening, and that I think will have a different emotional effect for each person that hears it. How it touches them, what meaning it has, and that's amazing that everyone can have their own experience.
Yeah, it can.
Go ahead, Nina.
Sorry, I was just saying it can activate those intuitive senses of just knowing. If you listening to light language and you're hearing it, you just sort of allow your mind to stop and just feel whatever images or impressions come to you. And I think that's the way of interpreting it more than what they're actually saying. Yeah.
Well, we're coming, I think, towards the close. I'm just going to feel into if there's anything else that we want to talk about. It's been really fun being here and discussing these things with you.
Yeah.
And just like how much we've all grown in such a short amount of time. I think I've been, because I started out with QHHT, I did level 1 and level 2, and that was, I think, in 2016, maybe. And at that time, I never really did share any of my personal stories with the sessions, but it was all so new to me. I had so much conditioning from my culture and from my family and the religious upbringing that I had, and a lot of low self-value, and I went into both of those two early times that I was hypnotized really afraid. Like my ego was really terrified, and really I even felt that I might be doing something against God. That's some of that religious programming, and probably from other lifetimes, not even just this one. But so even just to be in that space was really scary for me. And the information that was coming through was really, I mean, the first one was really simple. It was like a yogi out in a cave in the middle of nowhere with like a friend elephant. And it was really, like, that was my best friend and only friend, really, was this elephant that would walk through sometimes. I miss those days. Out in nature, no wonky, weird energies around. So good. That was the life. Woo! No Wi-Fi, no 5G, nothing. Just meditation, samadhi. And then, like, another one was, this is where it started to get strange for me, was when the extraterrestrial stuff was coming in, and ancient Egypt and things like this. And I really was not I was just allowed to peek a little bit, and then I had to work through all the stuff. And now, after all these years of like looking at it and working on myself and understanding, I think what was really important for me was to understand the mechanics. And that makes sense because my path was also to create a modality, but I needed to understand the mechanics of it, or the philosophy of it, so that I could really understand what I was going into. And some people are like that. Some people are, purely in faith, and then others need knowledge first to build up. And I was that person. So when we're teaching new practitioners and talk about those clients that come in that are a real challenge, I know, and I have so much sympathy, because I was that. Both sessions, I stopped them. I sat up off the table, like after the first images came through and the first conversations, I sat up and I was like, no, we're not doing this, and left.
Wow.
It's like, not happening. Nope, that does not fit to me. I'm not that. And then what ended up happening is years later now, because of, I wasn't quite ready for everything there and to work with what needed to be looked at there. And it's come up in other modalities. So it's like, oh, that's from that first session that I had. And I was, and here's the rest of the story. So yeah, it comes, the information comes in an appropriate way to trigger what needs to be moved and looked at. And it really, just to loop it back around to what we said, it's really up to us to really take that information and work with it, or to continue, avoiding our deepest truth. What comes around goes around, though. Eventually we'll have to look at it. So, beautiful angels, this has been so much fun. Is there anything else that you want to say? Any burning desires of share that you want to say?
I just want to say thank you, actually, for organizing these and bringing all this information, because I think it's very important. And this can open up also to people, because I remember myself in the beginning that I was really afraid of all this stuff that will sound like a little bit out of what I was used to in spirituality, because I was into yoga and I was like, that doesn't sound like yoga or this. So even like talking about spaceships now and light language is like, and I know it's a lot going on in the new age kind of stuff that I'm not into that at all right now. So I wanted people to understand that it's all kind of the same, has the same root, and there's nothing to be afraid. And it's like, to give like a more explanation of it, like a simple explanation, and to be more ground this information kind of. And I think it was this kind of conversation today, and I'm very happy actually to be here.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. Nina, you have anything to share?
Yeah, again, thank you so much for having us on and giving us a way to get our voices out there. And just thank you for what you guys are doing, because you guys are doing so much for this world, and it's a really beautiful thing. And yeah, just, I think the final word I would like to say is just, we have the tools to be able to tap into how powerful we really are. And this work can help us get there. And I think that's something that's really important for humanity to remember right now, is how powerful we actually are. And that we can have the reins. We can do this. So.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And it's so valuable to be connected in this way for me right now, because I'm in a place where, because there's so much change happening and relationships changing, relationships exiting, new ones coming in, things happening with censorship on various ways, and sometimes I'm like missing connection. I'm missing feeling quite alone in so many ways, and not really understanding how I'm being received. Not that it really matters. I mean, ultimately I have to be good with myself, and my alignment, but I think it's really important to share how we feel about one another, and to share what we mean to one another in a time where so much is being tossed around as what's important to talk about, and what because people are being kind of herded off into different groups, and that current contemporary topic is what unites people, and in the mainstream kind of thing. And to be able to, like with Nina, like we've never actually stood in physical space together, but I feel deeply connected with you. And Ria, we've met a few times. Same thing. It's like there's the moment I met Ria, it was like, who are you? I've known you for a long time. And just it's just such nourishment and so replenishing, and just want to honor both of you for also probably the same things that you're going through as you share your truth and share the information that you carry and come into new embodiment because of what you're being invited to share and to hold space for. And I know it comes with gifts and also the uncomfortable parts. And I just want to honor both of you, and I see you both as honest, transparent, trustworthy human beings that are here to really give from the heart and to assist. And so thank you for following your heart. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah. Well, just so that we can finish this in a good way, I just want to thank the infinite that we are, and to have this experience of duality and separation and struggle and strife so that we can know ourselves, so that we can mirror to one another the truth that really lives within us, and to have these intelligent discourses where we go into the mystical, into those places that we have so often been told not to journey. And may we go into those spaces evermore and bring the gems forward and the medicine to the people and the love that wants to be shared so freely upon this planet. So I'd love to dedicate all that we're doing now and will do towards that liberation, towards that ultimate salvation and awakening. Bless all of us. Every blade of grass, every atom here and beyond. Thank you all for playing a part in this unfolding. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Bless you. Be well. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah. Enjoy. Good night.
Good night. Good night. Good night. Yes. Totally. Yeah.
Bless you.
Yeah. Ciao, ciao. Ciao. Bye.